A report that came out today that says that the 2026 season will be Kathy's last season.
And it is wild. On top of everything else, it is wild how she has ignored Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark would be everywhere on everything. And if I was Kathy Engelbert, I'd be somewhere talking about Caitlin Clark every day.
He said the hole has just gotten so deep. She's in a place now where I don't really know what she does. Others said that she had a failure to develop sufficient relationship equity. Multiple find it curious she hasn't prioritized developing a closer relationship with Caitlin Clark.
I think one of the reporters asked her, hey, how do you feel about your job security, basically? And she came back saying, if I was a guy, you wouldn't be asking that. Like, have some accountability, man. If you was a guy, an alien, an unknown, running the league like this, people will question your job security. So what are you talking about, man? Just deflecting. Get out of here, man. Get out of here with that. Now, I want to scroll down and finish it up with this one right here, man. The cherry on top.
The WNBA somehow ended up in one of the most unbelievable situations anyone could have imagined. Just as the league finally secured the kind of superstar every professional sports league hopes for, attracted the largest audience in its history, and reached a level of attention it had never experienced before, reports now suggest the person leading the league could be on the way out. Somewhere between controversial foul calls, confusing league decisions, and claims that Adam Silver stepped in to make sure Caitlin Clark was properly protected, everything seemed to begin unraveling. And the truth behind it all is even more shocking than the headlines have led people to believe.
I think we can say with full confidence, when it comes to the financial success of the WNBA, you get full credit for that. However, on the contrary, when it comes to player relations, consistent officiating, social and emotional issues within the W, you are the worst commissioner in all of sports. And you know at the end of this contract, you ain't coming back, right? It's the With It wire. And I can safely say you've pissed everybody off. Why wouldn't you?
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says Caitlin Clark has set the world on fire. Silver didn't reveal much about it.
There is a strange sense of irony surrounding the WNBA right now, because at the very moment the league should be celebrating the biggest wave of attention and popularity it has ever enjoyed, the conversation has shifted in an entirely different direction. Instead of focusing on historic growth, record-breaking audiences, and the excitement surrounding the game, the spotlight has become consumed by controversy, criticism, and ongoing debates. And it is not just Black people who have found themselves at the center of the discussion.
Watching the WNBA right now, I actually I think there's more white people watching than Black people at this point in time. This is the reason why it's thriving the way it is. Just got to keep it all the way above. And race don't matter. You can't pick your race. Clark ain't picked to be white the same way Asia Wilson ain't picked to be Black. Like, you ain't have no say-so or none of that. Which is why I keep saying, keep it about.
Instead of nonstop praise for unforgettable performances, packed arenas, record-setting television audiences, and a new generation of stars turning women's basketball into must-watch entertainment, the headlines have become increasingly dominated by questions about league leadership, controversial officiating, public relations missteps, and a commissioner who reportedly finds herself facing more scrutiny and pressure than ever before. One of America's greatest
wing hacks, Nancy Armour, is back at it again, and this time it's truly amazing. The USA Today columnist has cleared the air and informed Caitlin Clark fans, informed America what we're all about. Are you ready for this? Are you really ready for this? I'm going to give you a little context here. It's a little backstory. This is from our friend Danny Z. Now, you got to listen to this because this is astounding even for a left-leaning, crazy-ass rag.
The timing could not have been worse, because this was supposed to be the season when every conversation focused on the action taking place on the court. Instead, reports suggest that many of the league's own stakeholders have begun questioning whether the person currently leading the WNBA is still the right individual to guide it through what should be the brightest and most promising chapter in its history.
contest, because we talked about this in a recent video, and we talked about how Kayla McBride, Caitlin Clark, and Sabrina Ionescu, it was originally reported that they declined to enter the 3-point contest. And then Sabrina actually commented under that post and she said lies. And then when she was asked about it, she said that she didn't get an official invite to be in the 3-point contest. Now, there was more that came out about this. Sabrina said, "I can't decline an offer I never officially got invited to." And then a WNBA spokesperson said, "Our general process is to reach out to agents to determine a..."
That discussion intensified even further after reports surfaced claiming that many influential voices around the league now believe Cathy Engelbert's time as WNBA commissioner may be nearing its end. According to an ESPN report, conversations with more than 20 people connected to the league, including team owners, executives, players, and industry insiders, revealed a growing view that although Engelbert deserves recognition for helping improve the WNBA's financial position, many no longer see her as the leader best equipped to handle the challenges that have rapidly emerged over the last 2 seasons. That distinction matters because very few people believe she stepped into an easy role. When she took over, the WNBA was facing major financial obstacles, and there is broad agreement that the league has made meaningful commercial progress under her leadership. The concern, however, is that financial success represents only one part of running a professional sports league, and many critics argue that nearly every other area of league leadership has struggled at the exact moment it became most important. What makes the situation especially notable is that these concerns did not appear overnight. Instead, they built gradually through one controversy after another until they grew into an issue too significant to ignore. Every sports league encounters difficult moments, but the most effective commissioners usually earn trust by confronting problems directly, communicating with transparency, and restoring confidence before situations spin out of control. Many observers believe that has not happened in this case. Rather than seeing decisive action, fans have watched uncertainty replace clarity, silence replace leadership, and controversies remain unresolved far longer than expected. No issue has highlighted those criticisms more than the ongoing debate surrounding Caitlin Clark. Whether people admire her, criticize her, or simply recognize the unprecedented attention she has brought to women's basketball, one reality has become impossible to deny.
I'll leave the specific question about the foul to my colleague, Commissioner Engelbert. I mean, I other than as a fan, obviously, it's nothing new in basketball that there's sort of welcome to the league moments, especially for heralded rookies. But of course, I want to see Caitlin treated fairly and appropriately in the league. I would say, seems like she can take care of herself. She's a tough player. I think it may be lost on some people who are new to basketball in terms of a little bit of the context.
She has dramatically changed the league's level of visibility. Television ratings have climbed to heights not seen in decades. Merchandise has continued selling at an unprecedented pace, while arenas across the country have been packed with sold-out crowds. Casual sports fans who rarely followed the WNBA suddenly started planning their evenings around Indiana Fever games. Corporate sponsors quickly recognized the opportunity, and broadcasters expanded their coverage as public demand became impossible to overlook. With that kind of impact comes a tremendous responsibility for league leadership. Many sports executives would argue that a player with that level of influence should be celebrated, protected, and promoted at every opportunity because their success benefits the entire league. Instead, critics claim the WNBA repeatedly failed to fully capitalize on the momentum unfolding right in front of it. Rather than allowing the basketball to remain the center of attention, the league often found itself responding to controversies that many believed could have been avoided. No incident reflected that frustration more than the highly debated confrontation involving Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark. During an emotional game, Thomas made contact with Clark's throat, creating one of the season's most talked about moments. Fans immediately demanded a clear explanation regarding possible discipline, while analysts questioned whether the play warranted a harsher punishment than what was ultimately issued. Instead of strengthening confidence in the league's disciplinary process, the incident only fueled additional confusion. Reports later claimed that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver personally urged Cathy Engelbert to suspend Alyssa Thomas following the controversy.
The problem is, are you getting rid of Cathy Engelbert because of the indiscretions that's happened towards Caitlin Clark? Are you getting rid of her because the venomous radical players want Kathy Engelbert out for other reasons? As in, oh my God, she's been too hard on Alyssa Thomas. Or oh my God, Kathy Engelbert's white. That's the thing. Kathy Engelbert's probably not the right person.
Although parts of those reports were later disputed, the story itself quickly became a major talking point. If the claims were accurate, they suggested that the NBA commissioner believed it was necessary to step in because stronger action was needed to protect one of the WNBA's most valuable stars. Regardless of how every detail ultimately played out, the perception alone proved damaging, as many fans were left wondering why decisive leadership appeared to come from outside the league instead of from within. That perception carried significant weight because it reinforced an argument critics had been making for months. They believed Kathy Engelbert too often responded only after public outrage had already erupted instead of preventing situations from escalating in the first place. Whether the controversy involved officiating, player discipline, or media relations, many supporters felt league leadership was constantly reacting to the conversation rather than leading it. In professional sports, perception can become nearly as influential as reality, and once enough fans begin questioning a leader's ability to act decisively, restoring confidence becomes an enormous challenge. The ongoing officiating debate only intensified those concerns. Every league faces criticism over its referees, but this season the volume of those complaints reached an entirely different level. Games featuring Caitlin Clark repeatedly became the center of debates over inconsistent foul calls, excessive physical play, and uneven enforcement of league standards. Some fans argued that Clark was not receiving enough protection despite becoming the face of the league's unprecedented commercial growth, while others believed officiating lacked consistency, regardless of which teams were on the floor. Then Adam Silver addressed the issue publicly earlier that day.
The commissioner of the NBA, he wishes that Clark had been put on the Team USA Olympic team.
Why did you say that, Rudy?
Because they're tired of funding this goddamn league.
They're tired of funding the league.
And I watched another podcast where there's a guy who does a lot of data stuff, and I'll tag him on this. I forget his name, but I watched this guy's podcast, and he said that the projection this year for the WNBA is to lose $50 million.
No matter which side fans took, nearly everyone agreed on one point. The officiating had become one of the biggest storylines in the sport, and that is never where any league wants the attention focused. For many stakeholders, the concerns stretched far beyond individual foul calls. They questioned whether the league even had a consistent approach to discipline. Hard fouls sparked intense debate, yet the penalties often seemed inconsistent and unpredictable. For a growing professional league working to attract new fans every week, that kind of uncertainty can become a costly problem because casual viewers expect structure, consistency, and confident leadership. That mounting frustration set the stage for another controversy that, by itself, might have appeared relatively small but ultimately came to represent a much larger issue. As All-Star Weekend drew closer, early reports claimed that several of the league's top shooters, including Sabrina Ionescu, Caitlin Clark, and Kayla McBride, had declined invitations to compete in the three-point contest. At first, the explanation seemed perfectly reasonable, as star players frequently skip optional events during demanding seasons. However, the narrative shifted dramatically once the players began speaking publicly. Sabrina Ionescu directly pushed back against the original reports, explaining that she could not have declined an invitation because she had never officially received one.
About things you have literally no control over. It makes no sense whatsoever, and I like the fact that Barack Obama, who knows hoops, who knows basketball, who knows who's nice, like he goes out of his way to talk to Caitlin Clark because he knows what's up. He ain't dumb. He watches her. You think he don't watch her? Now hold on. Because there's more. Because everybody keeps saying who's the face of the WNBA, who's the face. Oh, it's Asia Wilson. It's Angel Reese. It's y'all sound ridiculous.
Soon afterward, Kayla McBride shared her own account, explaining that the only communication she received came through her agent in the form of a casual text message about 48 hours before the event, rather than the kind of formal invitation many would expect for one of the league's premier shooters. What initially looked like a simple scheduling matter quickly turned into another debate about professionalism, planning, and whether the league was giving its biggest stars the respect they deserved. When players such as Sabrina Ionescu and Kayla McBride become linked to confusion over whether they were ever properly invited, the conversation naturally shifts away from basketball and toward questions about organizational competence. Instead of discussing who might light up the three-point contest or deliver unforgettable performances, fans found themselves debating text messages, communication breakdowns, and whether the league had once again mishandled a situation that should have been routine. Many observers argued this was exactly the type of issue strong leadership should have anticipated before it became public. Sabrina Ionescu is far more than just another participant. She has become one of the sport's defining shooters after dominating previous WNBA three-point contests and even competing against Stephen Curry during NBA All-Star Weekend. She is one of the league's biggest attractions, and many believed she deserved a personalized invitation reflecting that status. The same reasoning applied to Kayla McBride, whose reputation as one of basketball's purest shooters has been built over many seasons. Critics questioned why the league appeared to depend on informal communication through agents instead of making these stars feel like honored guests at one of its signature events. Those frustrations became even more noticeable because the WNBA has never had greater momentum to build upon. Every avoidable controversy risks taking attention away from the game itself, replacing excitement with unnecessary distraction. But right here you have Kate.
And Clark speaking of Barack Obama, and it's kind of funny, you're going to see Gabby turn around like, oh, I'm trying to get a conversation in too. Let me get a conversation. Now, I don't know what they were talking about, but this was a lengthy conversation. As you can see, people are waiting around to talk to him. I think this was in his center or something like that. I don't forgot what they said it was in, but I do know Barack Obama is from Chi-Town, so it only makes sense that he's there, you know.
The spotlight surrounding Clark reached another notable moment when she was seen speaking with former President Barack Obama during All-Star Weekend in Chicago. Photos of their conversation quickly spread across social media, attracting attention that extended far beyond the league's usual basketball audience. It was exactly the kind of organic publicity every sports league hopes for, generating massive visibility without the need for an expensive marketing campaign. The images featured one of basketball's brightest stars sharing a moment with one of America's most recognizable political figures in his hometown, creating positive headlines that reached well beyond the sports world. Ironically, even those uplifting moments were often overshadowed by the continuing debate over league leadership. Rather than spending days celebrating the remarkable talent assembled for All-Star Weekend, much of the media's attention remained fixed on reports about Cathy Engelbert's future as commissioner. That may have been the most damaging consequence of all. Time and again, the basketball itself was forced to compete with conversations about governance, public relations, and administrative decisions. Many supporters believe the WNBA should have embraced the same approach when it came to Clark. They argue that elevating one superstar does not take anything away from the rest of the league. Instead, greater visibility can lead to larger television deals, stronger sponsorship opportunities, higher player salaries, and increased exposure for everyone across the WNBA. What an extraordinary talent.
She is, 2 Final Fours, leading scorer, history of college basketball. So I look forward to watching her ongoing development in the league. I think ultimately this is very healthy for women's basketball in the WNBA. It's generating tremendous additional interest. In fairness to the other players and in fairness to Commissioner Engelbert, this didn't just start this year. Certainly we're seeing...
In other words, the success of one transformational superstar can raise the profile of an entire league and create opportunities for everyone involved. Instead, critics argue that too much effort has gone into controlling narratives rather than embracing the momentum they created. Whenever controversy involving Clark surfaced, whether it's centered on physical play, officiating, or media coverage, the league often appeared hesitant to take a firm and consistent stance. That hesitation created an information vacuum, and in today's sports landscape, those gaps are quickly filled by social media with speculation, rumors, and increasingly divided opinions. The officiating debate became especially symbolic because it represented more than just missed calls by referees. For many observers, It raised broader questions about accountability. Fans can accept occasional human error because no official gets every decision right. However, reports that attracted widespread attention claimed Adam Silver encouraged stronger disciplinary action following the altercation involving Clark. Whether that was viewed as informal guidance or direct involvement, the symbolism was difficult to ignore. The NBA commissioner appeared willing to acknowledge the importance of protecting one of women's basketball's biggest stars, while many fans believed the WNBA had been slower to respond. Some league sources reportedly described Cathy Engelbert as difficult to reach, while others pointed to concerns involving transparency, accessibility, and relationship building. On their own, those criticisms may not have seemed overwhelming. Taken together, however, they created the impression of a commissioner whose support within the league had gradually begun to weaken. Perhaps the clearest sign of that changing perception came from crisis management experts who evaluated the situation from outside the league's day-to-day operations.
Because they're spending money. They're spending a lot of money that they don't have.
What Kanye West say? I got a problem with spending money with people.
Because they came up with all these numbers for attendance and how everything's increased at 33%.
Fans no longer judge success simply by whether the league remains financially stable. They now expect world-class marketing, consistent officiating, transparent communication, decisive leadership, and the ability to maximize every opportunity created by the extraordinary talent across the WNBA. According to many insiders, the current situation has been developing for much longer than the recent headlines suggest. Every missed marketing opportunity, every prolonged officiating controversy, every disciplinary dispute, and every perception that the league failed to fully capitalize on the unprecedented attention generated by Caitlin Clark has gradually contributed